there was this Nigerian girl who knew I was cleaning. She was like, "Ah, you're a doctor." And she doesn't advise me to keep cleaning. She advises me to leave because if the General Medical Council finds out that you're cleaning, you will never be able to get a job. And because of that, I actually put it in my CV that I was working as a cleaner at primary. Going from being a very sociable girl who had friends everywhere, activities I did, I knew all the neighbors on my street. I was always going from one choir practice to one dance to one activity to staying indoors. My mental health began to suffer.
Hi, everybody. You're welcome to today's episode of Math Break Med podcast. And as always, I always bring you the most exciting, most interesting, most intelligent panels for us to have a good conversation, just to inspire other international medical graduates. And you don't necessarily need to be an international medical graduate. You can always listen and glean some information. And today I have with me Dr. Ogechi Odocha.
Yep.
Did I get your name right? Lovely. So I always like to describe myself as a mosaic, saying that I'm made up of lots of tiny tiles that come together to build a beautiful picture. But she beats me, you know. She is just extra. I crochet, she crochets. I can't sing, she can sing. She's actually a soprano singer, proper orchestra singer. She's a doctor extraordinaire. She's a social media personality. She's just, what don't you do, Ogie? Tell us, what don't you do?
I don't cause trouble. I don't cause trouble. But if they bring the trouble to me, I return the energy.
Right, now tell me, who are you?
Okay, I am Ogechi Sylvia Eze, ni Odocha. I still bear my maiden name sometimes. I am a general practitioner in the UK. I'm an international medical graduate. Did my medical school in University of Nigeria. Graduated 2010. I did my house job or internship in Nigeria, and then I came out to the UK in 2012. Came to the UK, did my PLAB exams, qualified as a GP in 2017. Now, on qualification as a GP, I got a salaried work until COVID happened, and then I became a locum. By becoming a locum, it freed up time for me to do other things, which is what I love to do. I became a public governor of the Derbyshire NHS Foundation Trust since 2022. I just handed over on the 31st of January. I'm also a soprano doctor, like Dr. Hannah said, a soprano singer. I said soprano doctor. Well, that's my nickname because I'm a doctor and I'm a soprano singer. So I take soprano solos in choir and in person. I'm also a crocheter. Funny enough, she mentioned it. I was actually working on a scarf this morning.
I've got my pin here. I'll show you my little thing that I've started with. I got the ball.
Well done.
Yeah. So yes.
Well done. Well done. And then I am a YouTuber. Health education is my forte. I do health education videos in Pidgin English, which is a common lingua in most of West Africa. Pidgin English and Igbo language, which is my own language. I also do how to crochet videos and also not really lifestyle stuff, but more like conversational videos, sharing my life and my songs. Then I am the founder of Afromedics Mentors, which is a mentorship group for Nigerian medical students, just to kind of give back to Nigerian medical students. What else do I do? Yeah, social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I share my ideas, my thoughts. I also love to talk about exercise, preventive medicine, because I'm a general practitioner. So yeah, I'm a beloved daughter, a beloved sister. Yeah.
Right. Tell me, Yogi, did you always want to be a doctor?
When I was younger, I wanted to be a lawyer because my mom had said I'm somebody who can talk extensively. So she believed I would do well in law. But I was a very sensitive child and I knew I wanted to care. I always wanted to care and I loved science in primary school. So I think as I grew older, I began to think of something science oriented. And then you know how it is in most of our African families, you have a professional baptismal name. My dad had already told me you'll be a doctor, your elder brother will be an engineer. So they kind of geared me towards that, buying the necessary toys I needed to make me think about medicine. So yeah, it was a seed planted, and I ran with it.
And were you the straight A
Mhm.
student, got straight into medical school, no issues?
Well, I was delayed going into medical school. Jam held me for 2 years.
So I think JAM is a
Did it.
Nigerian exam,
Yes,
isn't it?
jam is Nigerian. Yeah.
Okay. For 2 years. Gosh, and what did you do during that time? Was that when you developed your love for crocheting?
Yeah, well, not really my love for crocheting. I wrote a lot. I used to write a lot of articles for my dad, even some that got published in the news dailies.
Oh,
I
wow.
became like the caretaker for the house. We didn't have a house help at the time, so I learned how to go to the markets, the big markets in Aba, how to haggle, to negotiate, how to clean the house, how to cook. I used that period to learn so much about housekeeping. I read a lot of books, a lot of books. I traveled a lot with my dad around that time, going, following him to the village, observing village meetings, my culture, things like that. Yes. So it was
So
really.
I'm not surprised that you said you hung out a lot with your dad, because from your posts on social media,
Mhm.
I know that you have a very good relationship with your parents, with your grandparents as well, and you are really, really rooted in your culture as an Igbo girl. What do you have to say about that?
I agree with you. I
Yeah.
agree with you. I agree with you. I love my culture.
Mhm.
It's my identity, and I always share it whenever I can and wherever I can. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've learned how to say
Mbise.
Mbise, and I
Yeah.
know that it's somewhere in whereabouts is Mbise?
Imo State in Igbo land. It's in the eastern part of Nigeria.
And I learned that from your post on social media. I thought, oh, because I'm a bibliophile,
Yes.
I've read a lot from Chimamanda, Half a Yellow Sun.
Yes.
So I thought, oh, I know a lot about the Bayelsa War. And then I
Yes.
spoke to this lady and she gives me a 30-minute tutorial. And I'm thinking, oh, wow, I need to go back and read again. So how was your medical school experience?
Medical school experience was a mixed bag. Looking back, looking back now, I realized it was very restrictive. We didn't have the opportunity to develop other skills. It was all about struggle to pass exams, struggle to do anything you can to pass the exams, if possible, get a distinction, and you'll be called a distinction candidate. We threw away all our other skills, and students who had other skills like footballers among us, or those that were dancers, they would always be walking around with the threat of, do you think you would pass? You're not even a serious student. How many night classes have you done? You should be reading your books until smoke comes out of your head. So it was all about jump and pass. Maybe because we were so many in my first year. I know in my first year we were
How
about
many
five.
were you?
In my first,
500?
about 500 in my first year,
Oh,
because
my
that
word.
rush to get into medical school. And looking back now, I think it was just a case of getting to medical school. I remember one particular lecturer telling us then, you are now all in medical school. We don't care how you came in. Look around you and see the number. Now you have to prove yourself. Prove if you deserve to have been given a chance. In Nigeria, there are many ways of going into medical school in Nigeria. It's not even something I'm going to go into detail, but we all know those who will come in from the front door, those who will
Hmm.
be vice chancellor's list, those who they'll get their list from the presidency, and that kind of thing, all these kind of funny things. And then you would see people who will come in and be like, I'm sure I'm going to be a doctor. My dad is one top person in the college. And this particular lecturer said, now you all have an even playing ground. Even if you scored the highest in JAM, somebody here who may have scored the lowest might overtake you. So there was this cutthroat competition always, always. After my first year, because how my medical school was, is I went to the University of Nigeria, which has got two campuses. There is the Nsukka campus that is like in the countryside, and then the Enugu campus, which is in the city. The first year of medical school is in the Nsukka campus. So even though we called ourselves medical students, they will always tell us you guys are pre-med, because we're doing biology, chemistry, maths, English, and they're like, people are not even medical students yet until you cross over to Enugu, which was like a distance of an hour by bus. Until you cross over and come over there and get into the hostels, then you are not medical students. So I remember reading. I used to wake up sometimes 6 a.m. to always be the first to sit in front of the class. And after everything, I don't think I got an A in any course. I was like, what am I even struggling for? What is all of this I'm doing?
Can you hear me? I can't hear you.
Hello?
Yes. So you said you were
Okay.
wondering what you were struggling for.
Yes, I was wondering, like, why did I have to put myself through all of this? Look at all the effort. I was like a triangular student, what they used to call going from the library to hostel to class. I had
Hmm.
that social life. And then I think it was after first semester, not when I, after first semester, when our results came out, I said, you know what? I have to find fun things to do. I started going to watch the theater arts students perform because the theater arts department is in the Soka campus, and the theater arts students seemed to be the happiest. Their own is to come up with plays of Kofi Kweku Ananse and Wole Soyinka. They will come up, they will act, and they will come and perform. I'll go there and watch them so borderless, so carefree, happy. So I used to go there like every other Saturday. I'll pay, I think it was 20 naira, you pay, you go and watch
Mm.
them perform. I also started going to the basketball court to watch the guys play, even though I did not get involved in any sports per se. So thankfully, by my second semester, I did not have all that pressure to read. I crossed over to UNEC, which is the University of Nigeria, Enugu campus. Crossing over to Enugu campus, I now realized that there is second MB. I said, so this does not end.
It's not enough. What I've
It's
been
not
through.
enough. It's not enough. Then by speaking to the other students, I found out after second MB, there's third MB, there's fourth MB. Then I said, you know what? Okay, cool down. Enjoy the journey. I joined the choir. I joined the editorial board of our medical students magazine. I also joined another group that was called then Intelligentsia Nigeria. Our plan was like to group of young intellectuals talking about how to improve Nigeria's fortunes, share our ideas. I just became involved in so many things. And in fact, by my fifth year, I joined the House of Rep. I was in the University of Nigeria Medical Students Association talking about, I put it to you, Mr. Speaker, I'm passing this law. So I came into my own and realized I had so much energy. I loved life. I loved to make people laugh. I wanted to be happy as well as being a medical student. I was also the editor in chief of our school Christian magazine. So I developed a lot of talents writing, public speaking. I was always the one called up to come and give talks for our health week. And I remember that was where I developed this need to teach in my language. During our health week, I was told to come and talk to the market women in Igbo about breast cancer. And that was when I found out I didn't even know my language. And it shocked me, like, if I know all this Western medicine and I cannot communicate with my people, it's a problem. And it was like a seed planted in my heart then. And since then, I started trying to find words for medical terms. And that was my medical school experience. It was a formative experience for me. I discovered myself through the whole, cutthroat everything. I think I just told myself, enjoy it though. Exams will not end.
And I mean, I feel so jealous as you're speaking because I'm thinking, oh my God, I was probably your proper triangular students, from library to the hostel and back to the class and to the library. Maybe I sprinkled in a little bit of church, but then apart from that, it was really routine and boring. But from what you're saying, I can see how you honed your skills and how you formed who you are and
Yeah.
found yourself.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
So,
you.
what made you decide that, listen, I'm packing my things into 2 suitcases and a hand luggage and I'm moving to United Kingdom?
My husband was here already. And being a child of parents who grew up in the colonial era, there was always talk about United Kingdom, Britain. My
You
dad's
forgot the greats. You forgot the
oh, the
greats.
great, the great Britain.
Great Britain.
My dad schooled in Derby.
Oh,
My
all right.
mom, yes, my mom was a student in Queen Mary University.
Wow.
My two granddads are PhD holders. My mom's dad did his PhD in Dublin. My dad's dad did his PhD in Philadelphia. So that's
That is
abroad.
a lot of pressure.
Thank you. So that abroad has always been there.
Mm.
With the greater part of my family being abroad, writing letters to them, and aunties that will tell you if you do very well in your WIAC, you will come to John Hopkins, you will come to
Yale
King's
or Harvard.
College,
Oh,
Yale,
yes.
Harvard. So it was always there. And then when I met my husband, I told him that I always wanted to do my residency abroad, get that knowledge, come back like my grandparents did, bring that knowledge back home. And luckily for him, he got a Commonwealth scholarship in 2009, and he left Nigeria for Glasgow in 2009. And then I was still in medical school then. I graduated medical school in 2010, did my internship, and then got on the plane and came and joined him in the UK.
Was
Yep.
that your first time in the UK?
No, my mom brought me, my brother, and I to the UK. I was 3 months old when
So
she
you're
brought
always a posh girl.
me.
Okay.
He's always been there in the family somewhere.
You're the posh girl who wasn't seeing snow for the first time because I've seen your pictures. I said, and you even had a nanny who is a white woman. I said, this
Yeah,
girl, she's proper
I need,
Ajabota.
I need to find her.
So when your mom came to do her masters, she needed to have a nanny to take care of you while she went to
Exactly.
school, and then
Exactly.
she had a British lady who would take care of you.
Yes.
So coming back again, so you came then as a little girl, coming back again as Auntie Kemi later in your life. So for those who don't know who Auntie Kemi is, I mean,
Hello. Sorry.
how? Oh yeah, I lost you briefly. How was your experience coming back?
You know now, I was just 3 months old. Can you hear me, Hannah?
The line keeps breaking.
Hmm.
I'll sort it out. Please bear with me.
Okay.
Yeah, I've switched the internet. Yeah. So you said you were just 3 months old when you came.
When we came the first time, so I can't really remember. Just the things my mom told me about how I didn't do well with the cold. I was always having respiratory, that kind of, because we came in the winter, always sneezing, coughing, crying, and all. Well, of course, I didn't realize how shockingly cold it would be because I came in February.
And you went to Scotland, I think.
Glasgow. Oh my
Ooh.
God.
Yeah.
Scotland.
It's quite
I
bitter
remember,
cold.
exactly. I remember my husband telling me to dress warm when I was still in Nigeria. I was like, how warm? He said, please dress warm. Wear layers of sweaters. Me, I can be quite stubborn. I was like, layers of sweaters in this hot Nigeria airport. I'm not wearing any layers of sweaters. So I wore a light blouse and sandals. And I remember the people in the plane giving me strange looks like, does this girl know where she's going to? This is February. People were just looking at me strange. And thankfully, the man who was beside me in the plane, he noticed that I was quite unsettled throughout the trip. And he asked me, is this your first time of traveling? I told him, I traveled with my parents as a baby. He said, oh, that means it is technically your first time. I said, He said, you need warm clothes. So he now showed me, he said, look at this, one layer, another layer, another layer. Then he even showed me his stockings and pulled
At
it
least
down.
Uncle was being honest with you.
He said, do you have a coat? I said, I don't have anything. So he asked the
Hmm.
lady beside me if she had a spare jacket. And she said yes. And he said, could he give it to me? He now gave me the woman's number and the woman's address. So that when I got home, I could post it back to her. The woman was so nice. She gave me her jacket. I remember getting to Glasgow. People had come down. I stepped forward and I ran back into the plane with shock. I ran back. The women were like, wait, how can we help you? You gotta get off the plane. I was like, get off. Wait, what is Get off to where? What? They said, you have to go down. I said, no, I cannot. I cannot. Is that what is that is cold? They said, yes, it's cold. It's cold again. It's Baltic. Please, can you please get off? Will it? I said, I can't. So they understood my situation, gave me a blanket. I shivered all the way to the arrival lounge. My husband was there. Thankfully, he came with like 3 jackets.
Oh, bless him.
I was shivering violently and cursing him out at the same time. Why would you bring me here? Why didn't you tell me it is this cold? He said, but I told you it is cold. I said,
Dress warm.
exactly. I said, you told me dress warm. You should have told me wear like 5 sweaters, 5 trousers, tie my hair. I should even be like an Eskimo. What is this? Then he just told me, you'll be fine. Thankfully, there was a vending machine. He got like a hot cup of tea, gave me. He now said, we are going to wait for the bus. I said, don't you have a car? He said, car, quoi? I'm just a student. I said, but you're abroad now. People have money here. He said, no, he does not have a car. I said, let us call taxi now. He said, taxis are expensive.
Afford it.
Hey. I think that was when the reality hit me that this place is not as rosy as it is. Oh, my heart sank. I got into the bus. We got to his apartment. Very, very tiny apartment. It was like a matchbox. I was like, is this the place you told me that you are paying £650 per month? He said, yes. I said, this tiny place. I said, but whenever you call me on
Send
Skype,
pictures.
yeah, Skype is what was raining that 2012. I
Yeah.
said, but whenever you call me on Skype, he's always spacious. He said, because he sits by the window. When we got to the house, I rushed to the heater, I put it on. He said, put it off, put it off. Don't, that, as you put on that heater now, that thing can cost us up to £10. I said, only £10? He said, do I know what it means to make a pound? Long story short, within 2 months of arriving in the UK, I got a job in a shop cleaning. I didn't need
As
anybody.
a doctor.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I didn't need anybody to tell me that things were so hard for my husband. Two, the loneliness was doing my head in. Going from being a very sociable girl who had friends everywhere, activities I did, I knew all the neighbors on my street. I was always going from one choir practice to one dance to one activity to staying indoors. My mental health began to suffer at that point in time, and I was like, I need to leave the house, even if it means going out, saying hiya, hiya, and learning to understand the Glasgowian accent. At least the more I hear it, the more I can decipher. Did she just say, I'm gonna stand, I'm gonna run? You know, kind of thing. The more I hear it, the more I can make out what they're saying. And then apart from that, you observe them in their natural habitat and earn money. That's the
Mm-hmm.
bottom line. I had to make money to support my husband. Two mouths were now feeding. Because me, when I came, I told him, you see this, all this pasta, and tuna. I no go chop them. I need to go and find African shop. And the first time I found African shop, I saw a tuber of yam that was like this. And they told me that it was £10. I was like, this is a crime. So I realized that in order to eat African food, we needed money. So the UK, it was a shock that I remember vividly. But when I look back now, I just smile that I overcame. Yes.
Thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing the details of it with us. Because people tend to, one, I think for older international medical graduates, it's either they forget
Uh-huh.
or they just think, oh, it's just one of those things. And so people don't really tell you the stark reality.
Yeah.
I like how you described vividly how your experience was when you even came out of the plane.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you say, so today is a very cold day, it's about 4 degrees and I'm quite layered.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the heating on, but
Mm-hmm.
still, I feel it's cold. So to
Yeah.
think for someone who has never been here to
Mm-hmm.
just be thrown in there, and then the further up you go, the colder it is. So definitely, Glasgow is going to be much colder
Very,
than if you were in England.
very, 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 very cold. Very cold.
So how did you manage to transition from being a shopkeeper to being a doctor finally in the UK?
Okay, so it's a shop cleaner. I was cleaning.
Oh, cleaner.
Yeah, shop cleaner. So it was during that time because I sing.
Hmm.
I sang in church once, and the priest he heard my voice. I was like, "You sing so well. Do you want to join the church group, music group?" When he said music group, I thought he meant choir, like in Nigeria, you come, you see one full pew of soprano. We were just three. We were three. Then I said, yes, I'll sing with them. So I sang with them once or twice. And then I told them about, because I did my white wedding here. And then they said, oh, yeah, that they will get some students from the Department of Music in Glasgow Uni, some of them who played instruments to come and sing for me on my wedding. And also, that music stood me out. During that period, the bishop of the Catholic diocese there in Glasgow came to the university because I came in February, so that was around Easter time.
Mhm.
And they did an Easter service and told me to take the solo. I took the solo. After that, the priest approached me one day and said there's one of the parishioners who was the proprietress of the Academy of Sacred Music in Glasgow, and she needed a music teacher for the children's choir. And I said, well, I've been a choir mistress, but not a music teacher. He said, well, you can draw on that experience and become a teacher.
Music teacher.
What they need is not just a teacher, but somebody who will also give them a global view about the world. You are Nigerian, you can teach them about African folk tales so that they have an idea, because some of them may not have traveled that direction. They could go to Europe, the Far East, but they don't go that way. If they go to Africa, it might just be South Africa, Cairo. They might not go to the sub-Saharan Africa. Took up that job. I was very grateful for that job. I was paid £50 every Saturday. That was on Saturdays I used to go. My cleaning job was Monday to Saturday, 6:30, no, 6 in the morning, 6 in the morning to 8. And
Okay, your memory is impeccable.
oh yeah, my memory. See me, as I said, I was a very sensitive child. The way I grew up, I observed a lot and kept things to mind. So I used to do this cleaning job 6 to 8, and then on some days when I was had time, I would do the janitor shifts, because the janitor shift is the people who would be staying back to clean the shop as people are shopping. So that's why if somebody spills a drink, you will hear janitor to the tills, please. Someone has, so I would do that. And it was minimum wage, £6.19. So I remember coming back every day, and I will open my diary and calculate £6.19 times 2 hours. £6.19 times 4 hours, like that. Then when I got that Saturday job, I would do 6 to 8. Then I'll go to the fitting room, change to my normal clothes, because we had a cleaning uniform. It was with Sevest. Sevest was the cleaning company. So I changed to my normal clothes and then take the bus from the shop to the academy where I was teaching music. So when I come back, I will calculate my hours at the shop plus £50 I was expecting for that Saturday. That and during that period, I realized that we had little breaks. Like if you come in early, sometimes you used to be there by 5:45 or 5:30 in the morning. I had 30 minutes to open my books and read, because our cleaning uniform had a small pocket where I could put my Oxford Handbook of Clinical Medicine. So during the breaks, I would read, just read. And if I'm on the bus coming to work, I'm reading. On the bus going back, I'm reading.
That's you preparing for your PLAB.
Preparing for my PLAB, yes, because that was why I was doing the work to make money to pay for the PLAB exam. So around that time, one of my friends came from Nigeria and she needed a study partner. She reached out to me and said, would I be happy to be her study partner for PLAB? I said, of course. So when I come back from the cleaning, we come back by 8, my friend and I will get on Skype and practice questions on this app called On Examination. We'll do questions from 9 to 12. Then 12 o'clock, I would get ready and go for daily masses, because my husband, we're Catholic, so go for daily masses. This is how we prepared for our exams. I failed my first PLAB 1 because I practiced alone, number one. Number two, I practiced with outdated materials. And number three, because of the circumstances surrounding my coming to the UK, I was not settled yet. I was not psychologically ready to do the exams. So I failed the first PLAB 1. So by the time I was doing the PLAB 2, thankfully, this my friend was looking for a study partner. And that is how we prepared together. In the midst of cleaning, in the midst of teaching music, we prepared for the PLAB together, and we passed both our PLAB 1 and PLAB 2. Got my PLAB 2, passed it all within that year of arriving. So by November of that 2012, I had got my General Medical Council license to work. I started applying for jobs. Even as far back as 2012, even though we talk right now about the lack of jobs, 2012, you won't believe I got my medical license in November 2012. I didn't start working as a doctor till May 2013. That's 6 months. Six
What
months.
was happening?
Then the UK was still in the EU.
Mhm.
So EU doctors were prioritized over us. So I couldn't get a job. I was applying everywhere. I was seeing all the people, there was this activity group I used to go to, and some doctors would come there to teach about health. And you see the EU doctors saying, oh, how they have been licensed already. And I'm like, even without writing the English exam, IELTS, or doing the PLAB, they said yes. So I remember my friend telling me then, do not stop applying. Just keep applying. Forget about what is going on. Keep a positive mindset and apply to any part of the country from one end to another. You're not bound. All you need is the job, and then you can move. So that was how I got called up one day. I remember coming back from the shops. I was at the bus stop waiting for the bus, and they were like, is this Dr. Odocha? I said, yes. She said that she's from the Royal National Orthopedic Hospital in London. that I made an application to them, and I was like, I can't remember. I've made more than 1,000 applications. If I'm exaggerating, maybe, but it was that amount. Because
Wow.
when you register on the jobs.nhs.uk, and all you just need to do is to click on this
Click
job.
apply, apply,
Exactly. Click
apply.
apply, apply, apply. That's what I was doing. Everywhere I was applying. And the
Wow.
lady told me they had gone through my CV, they were impressed with what they saw, and they wanted me to come and start with them. And my start date was fixed for May. Because she called me sometime in January, February. I think it was around April. It was April that she called
So
me.
just the next month, she needed you to
Exactly.
start.
She had me to start. So before that time, people will tell you need to do some clinical attachments to get references. I got clinical attachment at Glasgow Royal Infirmary. In fact, they were even telling me that if any job opportunities come out, they will let me know. So it was during that time this job in London came, and I said, okay, fine. I left everything, got on a plane, flew to London, and started. And that's how I transitioned to the NHS. Yeah.
So getting to London, did you know anybody? Did you have accommodation sorted out?
The hospital had accommodation for me within the hospital. So it saved me because that was when I realized how crazily expensive London is. So by being in that hospital accommodation, all bills inclusive, I didn't need to struggle with landlords and tenancy agreements and
Council
transport.
tax
Council tax, exactly. So everything was sorted
was
for me.
sorted
It
out
was.
for you. Do you remember your first day at work? Were you excited with your name tag? Did you take pictures?
I was very excited, very, very excited, but nervous as well because I
Hmm.
was like, oh God, NHS job. During your PLAB tutorials, you're always told about complaints. They always highlight the complaints. You don't want to upset any patient. You want to make sure you're saying things like, do you mind? I'm afraid. So it's about trying to remember the correct time to use those phrases. You can speak English already, but all those mannerisms, are you okay? You're all right? All those things that you don't even want to say, but you just have to say it.
So, okay, where did GP come in?
GP came in when I had worked in that hospital for a year,
Hmm.
and I just got tired. I was like, I'm an SHO doing discharge summaries, taking blood samples, receiving letters from people's GPs and all. I was like, I can't continue like this. I want to grow. I want to
Yeah.
grow. So I tried thinking, do I go and do a master's? Because at a point in time, I love teaching. Then I said
Mhm.
maybe I will go and do a master's. I checked at Queen Mary. I wanted to do pathology. And the international school fee, no, yes, international, yes, because I wasn't a citizen yet.
Mhm.
International school fees was like £19,000. I was like, okay, I can spread it out whenever I'm ready to. I could just pay it all out. But then that period, a friend of mine who was applying for GP training told me that the portal was open. I need to go and apply. And that was how I said, okay, fine, this is an opportunity for me. Let's get it. Let's go. So I applied and yeah, started the exams and thankfully,
And then you got it on the first round.
yes, I got on the first
See, I told you this lady is a smart girl.
round. I
Because
got
I know people who struggle, go through numerous rounds to finally, getting into it.
uh,
So your GP training was in Derby,
yes,
where your dad went to school.
yes,
Was
yes.
it serendipity?
Oh yes, 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 yes. In fact, it was so I don't know. It was magical when I told him. He told me his house address. I went
Mm.
and found the address, took a picture and sent to him, and he was like, "Oh, you've taken me back to when I was a young man." You know, walking.
Sounds nostalgic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was like, "I never knew I would have, get married to your mom because he did not know my mom then. I never knew I'd have children. Neither did I know my daughter would grow up to become a doctor and go to the same city to snap that house and send to me."
Uh, how was GP training?
GP training was very challenging for me because I did it virtually alone. My husband was not here. He had finished his Commonwealth program, left for Nigeria. So I was on my own. And you can see, how rigorous GP training is. It's not the normal, straightforward medical stuff with all the other non medical things you need to know. And Derby, at the time I came, was still largely not diverse. I was the only Nigerian trainee in my set, and I was still learning communication, things to tell people, things not to tell. being discreet about stuff, knowing how to maintain boundaries, personal space. So I was constantly falling out with people who would be like, oh, she laughs too loud, she's too noisy, she's too familiar, she doesn't respect personal space. And I'm like, I was just trying to be friendly to someone. So it made me even go further into my shell. It messed up my
Yeah.
mental health. My mental health suffered. Every winter I would get down. Every
Mm.
winter I'd break down. And here you open up to people, they'll be like, oh, you shouldn't be talking to me, you should be speaking to a psychologist. And because I'm from my Nigerian background, once you hear psychologist, that's psychia, you be like, no, I'm not crazy, no, 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 that kind of thing. And people were constantly telling me that my colleagues at work, we think you're depressed, you should go and seek help. I'll be like, it's not my portion.
In
It's not
Jesus' name.
in Jesus' name. It's not my portion. And I struggled through my training. I stumbled, I stumbled, I stumbled. I was going for every single panel. I was called a red flag candidate. And I couldn't reconcile it because in medical school I was a high flyer. And this is me here, not being able to make a headway. It wasn't funny though, but
So, do you have any support system? Because I think now there's something called a SOCS or something like that. So, I think they give special support to people, and because they have this differential attainment committee, they help people. Was there anything like that during your time?
I had an educational supervisor and a clinical supervisor who, will tell you the right thing. Go and seek help. Go and seek help. Go to your GP who can refer you for counseling and all. But I kicked against it. It was not something I really believed that I couldn't believe I was depressed.
So it wasn't because there wasn't the help. It's just that personally you hadn't come to terms with it,
Exactly.
that
Exactly.
there could even be something
Yes.
not right with you.
I hadn't come to terms with it. I hadn't. It was when things got so bad that,
Mm.
even my husband himself, who is even much more traditional than I am, was like, you cannot be depressed. You cannot be in the land of milk and honey, the land everybody wants to go to. And I say you are depressed. No, get up and go and walk. So I would go to work with that brain fog, sadness, lack of motivation. And, I even remember opening up to a group of friends in our African community then, and opening up and telling them that I felt I had defeated depression. And then they were saying they would go and report me to the General Medical Council that as I have,
Wow.
am I even a safe doctor? You can imagine. So
Wow. Okay. Okay. It sounds like you've been through a lot.
I have, but these things make us stronger. So, yeah.
So how did you finally overcome it? Did you even see your GP, or did you come to any breaking point at a point?
I went to see my GP. This was in my final year.
Gosh, so you battled this first year, second year, third year.
Yes,
Wow.
it's my final year. I think I was now thinking to myself, I can't continue like this. Every single year, I crash for about 6 months. I can't come out of bed. I can't do anything. I need to seek help. I went to see my GP who took the history and said that this was a case of severe depression.
It sounds more like SAD, doesn't it? It sounds like a seasonal affective disorder.
I thought it was sad at first until the summer of that year, that summer of my third year, where even as um even as the summer came, I still was not feeling
You're
myself.
feeling low.
That's when I
Wow.
knew that I needed help. I really needed help. Yeah. So saw my GP and then they referred me for this PHP, practitioner health program. That's the
Yeah. I think it's been cancelled now,
has it?
unfortunately.
Has
A
it?
lot of people kicked up against it. Personally, I wrote to talk about it, but I mean, it was just a tick box exercise. It didn't go far. But I know a lot of people who have benefited immensely
Yes.
from the practice. But anyway, if you're listening to us, and there's no PHP, but I'm sure your local occupational health service should be able to help you. If you're going through any, persistently feeling low, struggling to sleep, or even oversleeping, anything to do with your mood. What's the mnemonic for depression? Is it sad cups or something like
It's
that?
a PHQ now.
Yeah, that's the assessment too. But I was trying to find the mnemonic for yeah. Don't worry, but yes, if you feel you need help, please go and seek help. Yeah. It's
Yes.
just, this is a very casual ladies hanging out time. You're not feeling academic at all.
Yes.
Right. And there she goes doing her crochet as we have our lovely conversation together. So Finally, you were able to ride this tide, and then you came out as a GP, got a
Yes,
job, you said. And
yes,
then in 2020, during the COVID, you decided to become a locum GP.
yes,
How
yes.
was your experience being a locum GP?
It's been fun. I found out that that's what I preferred because, like I said, I don't like to make medicine the whole of my life. It's a profession for me. I'm Oge. It's about what can Oge do. So when I feel fully energetic and ready to go, I pick as much work as I can. When I feel that for the next few months I need to recover, I need to heal, I need to do other stuff, I do other stuff. Because I'm like, even if sometimes we say we need to work for the money, but sometimes you also do stuff for pleasure, like this crochet, going out for a walk, going on a trip to the National Trust. It's still work. You're doing it to renew yourself, renew your mind. You see, so I still enjoy the locum landscape because when I'm ready to work, I'm there. And when I feel I need this time off or I need time for other things, I'm not struggling to ask for somebody to swap their on
It
call
gives
with
you the
me.
autonomy to
Exactly.
decide, no, I don't
Exactly.
want this. Yes, I want that.
Exactly. That's it. Yeah.
Okay, we all know that there has been a drought of locums. Have you felt it, or are you riding it? It's all nice and well for you.
I have felt it and it is very, very dire in
Tell us
our
about it.
yes, in our location. Currently, I'm in Plymouth. I've been here since the 16th of December because while I was in Derby, I was out of work for almost 4 months. Things just totally dried up. I remember calling my local agency around September and asking them if there was any jobs. They were like, there are no jobs coming in at all. No more jobs. That the people that they are looking for jobs for are for the physician's assistants. They had decided to be giving them more work than ourselves. So things got so bad. You couldn't get jobs even in the out of hours where I lived.
Mhm.
Previously, the out of hours, you could just pop in, do like 3 hours, and you're gone. But as it was, before I left Derby, doctors from all over the East Midlands, Leicester, Coventry, Northampton, they had all taken up temporary accommodation in Derby so that they could have access to the out of
You're out of hours, so there's
hours.
competition.
Exactly, serious competition. And that was when I called my agency and said I needed them to find me work as a matter of urgency because the lack of work was creating strife, challenges within me, and my irritability to people around me. And then I said, no, I needed the work. And I got this work. I had to drive almost 7 hours down here to come and
Plymouth.
start, yes, to Plymouth. Yeah. So I've been here since then and I'm grateful for the work. Pay off my bills, pay off my loans.
And I
Exactly.
heard that even when people get jobs, they are struggling to get paid. Is it true?
Exactly. Exactly. There are agencies that are withholding people's money for reasons best known to them. Sometimes you hear things like, oh, the funding has not been released, or maybe the funding has been released, but someone in the finance department is ill. So things like that.
How's that my business?
That's the thing. How is it supposed to be our business? It's not ours. We're doing the work. What we need is for
Absolutely.
us.
Yeah. I mean, if I worked, then I deserve to be paid anyway. Let's talk about something that is a bit more exciting.
Mhm.
Okay. What have you learned in the last year that you think is worth sharing with us? It could be anything at all.
What I've learned is to marry all your skills together with your MBBS. Carry it
Mm.
all along. Don't leave any part of you to die. Make sure you are servicing all those skills because you never know when you would need it. This period, I was out of work. I started crocheting more. It was during this period I crocheted a whole dress, which is a project I had never done before. A whole dress which
Wow.
I used for my Christmas. I'm working on another dress. I made a lot of stuff for people. People needed baby things. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to monetize this. I can't keep just doing things for free. The effort it took to make these things, even
And the
going to market,
time.
and the time. So I did a lot of concerts as well last year, Christmas. I did like 5 concerts, singing solos. People got to know me that she's not just a soprano doctor in name, she's a good singer. Would have said, oh, we've been wondering why you call yourself soprano doctor. My writing, I'm back to the work I'm doing on my medical school experience. It's been one projects I've been, you start and stop.
Been postponing it.
So I'm hoping to get it published this year. And that's one thing I learned. Just be true to yourself.
Mm.
All talents, put them to carry them along with you. Even as you go out, if you're a doctor, you love baking, you can always, slip it in when talking to someone about it.
Mhm.
Oh, I bake. And they're like, oh, you're a doctor and you bake. That would be interesting. They will always be intrigued to see what
Absolutely.
you have to offer. Exactly. So,
That they have other sides to you.
exactly.
I knew how to crochet as a teenager, but I lost the skill. And then it's now 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I had a baby and I had a very protracted hospital stay and I had a very rough recovery. And then my
Yeah.
neighbor, bless her, she
Yes.
brought me a crochet pin
You
and then
see?
she brought me a yarn.
Wow.
And she said, oh, maybe you should consider. And my
Mhm.
husband always teases me that whenever he sees me crocheting, he knows that it's because I'm low. And I said, yes, because I mean, crocheting I find it so therapeutic
Yes.
because even when you make a mistake when you are going, it's like going through life. It gives you
Yes.
the opportunity to decide whether am I going to gloss over this and just
Exactly.
correct it in future, or am I going to undo it and come again, And I like it. I like crocheting. So guys, if you haven't considered it or if it's something that you do, drop us a comment. Let us know if you're a crocheting girly. We want to know. If you're a guy and you crochet as well, there's no shame. You can
Yes.
let us know about it.
Yes.
Okay. I have 16-year-old teenage girls
Mhm.
who are contemplating doing medicine. They are twin girls. And I don't want to be the auntie who tells them not to do medicine. What would you say?
If it is really your passion to do medicine, then it's up to you.
Hmm.
But do find your skills, your hobbies, and develop them because the medical landscape has changed. Not only are doctors being replaced by non doctors, but also AI is already in the present, waiting to take all our jobs. So, in case anything happens, you can still answer your MBBS in name, but you've also got other things that you're doing which you can grow, which your MBBS title would be helpful to attract people to that other side of you. Yeah,
Absolutely. So you're just saying that at the moment, medicine shouldn't be your end and be all. It can actually be a transferable skills because
exactly.
our ability to respond quickly to emergency, think on our feet, make quick decisions. These are all good skills that could be used in the industry. So
True.
the fact that you've done medicine doesn't mean that that's it and then you're stuck. If at
Yes,
any point you feel, look, I'm not flourishing, I'm not doing well, this thing is impacting me financially, mentally, physically, you can always pivot, take your medicine, find something else,
of
and
course,
do. It's not the end of your life.
of course.
Okay, how do you relax? I know you do crocheting. What else do you do when you are not being doctor?
I sing, I write, I journal, I listen to music.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
I listen to music, audiobooks, I sleep. I have tried to have siesta any days that I'm off. Yeah, call my parents, speak to them over the phone. So those are a few of the things I do.
And you didn't mention that you are always vlogging your life. I'm thinking this lady is constantly, I mean, I just need to check on her timeline. I know what she's doing. She's out at the beach. I mean,
Yeah.
Plymouth, you've really explored Plymouth. And I haven't been there, but I've been there through you vicariously because I'm always looking at the landmarks and I'm thinking, oh, one day I'll go here, one day I'll go there. So guys, please follow her on all her social media handles. She's on X, she's on Instagram, are you on Facebook? She's on Facebook and she's on LinkedIn as well. So yes, you can find her on all the social media platforms.
Yes.
Tell me, Ogi, was there a time that someone gave you an advice and then in retrospect, you're thinking that wasn't a good advice? And what advice was it?
Mm,
I'll go first. So someone gave me an advice. And it wasn't particularly to me. It's a Ghanaian adage that
uh-huh,
says that good beats don't make noise. If you are good at something, you don't have to tell anybody that you are good at it. You
mhm.
just have to keep quiet, and that's one day someone will find you.
Yes.
At that time, maybe it was a good advice, but today, if you don't tell us that, look, I can sing, I can do this, who will come and find you? And I support this with the scripture that I'm a person of faith, and I'm saying that no one lights a candle and hides it under a bushel.
Mm-hmm.
So if we teach children to sing that this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine, then let your light shine.
Right.
Don't just say, oh, I have to be modest by saying, I can't crochet. Oh, I can't talk. Oh, no, I can't write. And then when they find out, it's like a surprise.
Yeah.
So did you have any such advice?
Let me see. Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know if this one was an advice. This was that time I was doing the cleaning. And there was this Nigerian girl who knew I was cleaning, and she was so aghast. She was like, how can you be cleaning? You're a doctor. And she doesn't advise me to keep cleaning, and she advises me to leave because if the General Medical Council finds out that you're cleaning, you will never be able to get a job. Ha! Now, wow, I was so scared then. And I said, what is my business? I have to work, pay bills. I have no recourse to public funds. I need to make this money. And because of that, I actually put it in my CV that I was working as a cleaner.
Wow.
I didn't even bother hiding. I put there from this time to this time, worked as a cleaner at Primark. And when they told me to go and bring in my pay slips and my certificates of all the jobs I did, like in addition to the Academy of Sacred Music, I brought it in. I showed them.
Wow. 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 Wow.
She was advising me not to do an honest job. She wasn't.
Sometimes people just impose their fears on you. It's
Yes.
not because of something they know or something they've read. They just sit down and they think, maybe this wouldn't sound nice. Tell you what, okay, I have worked as a cleaner before as well. I worked in the Salvation Army as a cleaner. So yes, I know. And oh gosh, at that time I had never seen any drug paraphernalia before. So I had heard that people use drugs, but I had never seen with my own eyes, because in Ghana we don't use such sophisticated drugs, where people inject themselves with things like that. And correct me if I'm wrong, people in Ghana who suffer with mental health issues, they don't self-harm. It's not in our culture. So I'd never seen anybody who had done something like that. So working there in the Salvation Army, I was a concierge, but I needed extra hours to keep up as well financially. So that I'll pick up the night jobs and I'll work as a cleaner through the night. And I would see these syringes and all the other paraphernalia there, and I was totally shocked.
Yeah.
And interestingly, when I was applying for other roles, I also did mention it, but no one told me that GMC wouldn't give me a license. I mentioned it that, look, I have experience in these things, and it did help, because I had real life experience when it comes to mental health issues, and
Yes.
I'd lived with them and I had worked with them.
Yes.
Right. So just for us to round up quickly, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Enjoy the moment. Enjoy the moment. And accept yourself the way you are. Enjoy the moment, accept yourself, and celebrate yourself. That's it.
Absolutely celebrate yourself. And you are not living a lie. We can see that you're enjoying yourself, even in the drought of money, the lack of work and everything. You've not let it come on top of you. And I celebrate you today, okay? You are a phenomenal lady, and I'm happy to say that you are a maverick med yourself.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So guys, that is us wrapping up for today. Don't forget to like, share, follow. I'll drop her handles for her various social media accounts. Do like her, comment her programs, follow her as well. And
Yes.
I hope we're able to bring you something insightful.
Thank you. Thank
So
you.
we'll meet again. Bye for now.
Yes, thank you. Bye-bye.